Imagine standing in a cold, windswept valley 50,000 years ago. Your stomach is empty, the fire is dying, and the person you choose to share your body with tonight could decide whether you live or don't see another sunrise. In the Stone Age, sex wasn't just pleasure, it was power, politics, and survival itself. From choosing mates to forging alliances, every intimate decision helped shape the very first human civilizations. Picture this. It's night in the late Paleolithic era. The air smells of smoke and damp earth. Your tribe huddles around a small fire, its flickering light barely holding back the darkness. You feel the eyes of others on you, some curious, some calculating. In this world, attraction is not about romance. It's about survival. Back then, choosing a mate wasn't swiping left or right. It was a decision that could change your fate. A strong, skilled hunter could mean full bellies through the harsh winter. A partner with sharp instincts could spot danger before predators crept too close. Physical beauty that came second to strength, resilience, and proven skill. But the stakes were higher than personal comfort. If you chose poorly, you risked hunger, injury, or even death. Imagine pairing with someone unable to protect you from rival tribes or provide food. That mistake wouldn't just cost you, it could cost your future children their lives. Even desire itself was different. Lust wasn't just a private feeling, it was tied to the tribe's survival. Who you were with affected alliances, trust, and status. Every look, every touch, was part of a larger game, one where the rules were unwritten, but the consequences were deadly clear. In this dangerous balance between desire and danger, intimacy was a survival strategy, and in the Stone Age, every choice carried the weight of life or death. By day, the tribe moved together, foraging, hunting, keeping watch. But at night, subtle politics unfolded in the glow of the fire. A glance held a question. A shared piece of meat hinted at an alliance. The Stone Age may not have had words for status or power, but everyone felt it. For women, choosing a mate was often about security. The man who could bring back a heavy kill, fend off predators, and stand tall in conflict meant safety for her and her children. For men, choosing a partner was about more than attraction. It meant forging bonds with her family, gaining allies, and ensuring the survival of his own bloodline. This was not a world where people dated for fun. Pairings were often calculated, even if driven by raw desire. Sometimes the attraction was instant, the flash of muscle in the hunt, the quick mind-spotting danger first. Other times, it was strategic, joining forces with someone who could secure a place near the fire, away from the cold. But lust could also cause chaos. A moment of stolen passion with someone else's partner could spark fights, splinter alliances, and even drive people to leave the group. In small tribes, every relationship mattered. One mistake could shift the entire balance of the camp. In this world, intimacy wasn't just personal, it was political, and every whispered promise or stolen glance was a gamble in the dangerous game of survival. The fire crackled, casting long, flickering shadows across the stone walls of the cave. These shadows often mirrored the tribe's unspoken struggles, who sat closest to the warmth, who was pushed toward the edges, who shared food, and who turned away. Even without a formal hierarchy, you could read the tribe's social order. In a single glance, romantic and sexual bonds were woven into this structure. A leader's mate held a special position, often treated with subtle deference. A hunter who secured a rare partnership might suddenly find himself with more allies when disputes broke out. Relationships could elevate someone overnight or ruin them just as quickly. Jealousy was a constant undercurrent. If two hunters liked the same woman, their rivalry might simmer until it boiled over during the hunt, turning a cooperative chase into a dangerous standoff. If a woman felt her partner's attention shift elsewhere, she might strengthen ties with another man, ensuring she wasn't left without protection. Even in the Stone Age, people understood that attraction could be both a gift and a weapon. Those who could control it, who could use desire to build loyalty and cement alliances, often held more power than those who simply relied on brute strength. By the end of each day, when the fire burned low, the quiet negotiations of the heart shaped the tribe's future just as much as the spear in a hunter's hand. In the Stone Age, love and survival were two sides of the same sharpened stone. In the Stone Age, politics didn't happen in meeting halls. It happened around the campfire, in the forest during a hunt, and in the subtle glances exchanged between people who understood the stakes. Attraction and alliance were rarely separate. Choosing a mate wasn't just about passion. It was a calculated decision that could mean the difference between safety and danger. A skilled hunter might find himself surrounded by admirers, not only for his strength, but for the security his presence promised. Women who chose him could expect better food, more protection, and higher status within the group. But this wasn't a one-sided exchange. A well-connected woman could bring her partner new allies, smoothing over disputes and helping him rise in the tribe's pecking order. Sometimes, these connections formed quietly over time, sealed with shared meals or whispered conversations while gathering berries. Other times, they exploded into the open, a stolen glance noticed by a rival, or a lingering touch that sparked murmurs in the group. But alliances born from desire could be fragile. A poor hunting season, a careless insult, or a new, more impressive arrival could shift the balance overnight. Affection turned cold, loyalties shifted, and the web of relationships reshaped itself. In this world, every bond was both a shield and a target. Love could lift you higher than any spear, or leave you more exposed than any wound. In many tribes, courtship was less about romance and more about negotiations, an unspoken contract where each side weighed risks and rewards. A man might bring a freshly killed deer, not just as food, but as a statement. I can provide, I can protect. A woman's acceptance of that gift was equally loaded, a signal to him, and to the rest of the tribe, that she was considering an alliance. These exchanges were public, even when wrapped in the privacy of gestures. Others watched closely, because every union shifted the balance of power. If a respected warrior chose a partner from a rival's family, it could unite two factions, or inflamed old tensions. Physical attraction mattered, but it was rarely enough. Practicality ruled. A partner's family ties, their hunting or foraging skills, even their influence over other tribe members, all of it counted. And in a dangerous, unpredictable world, stability was as desirable as passion. Yet desire had a way of breaking the rules. Forbidden liaisons did happen, moments stolen in shadowy caves or during long treks for water. These were dangerous, not just because of the scandal, but because betrayal could fracture the tribe's fragile unity to survive. Couples had to navigate a maze of loyalty, obligation, and silent rivalries. Every smile, every gift, every shared meal was part of a greater game, one that could decide not just personal happiness, but who ate first, who slept safest, and who stood tallest in the tribe. When these delicate negotiations failed, the consequences could be swift and brutal. A rejected suitor might challenge a rival in a sudden display of dominance, not always to win the partner's affection, but to preserve pride and status. In a world where reputation meant survival, losing face could be as dangerous as losing a hunt. Sometimes the tribe itself intervened. Elders might pressure individuals into unions that benefited the group, ensuring alliances between skilled hunters and expert foragers, or joining families with valuable knowledge of migration routes. Love was not a private matter. It was a tribal asset to be managed, guarded, and, when necessary, sacrificed for the greater good. But within these constraints, genuine bonds still flourished. Two people might find comfort in each other's company, share moments of laughter by the fire, or stand together in the face of predators and rival tribes. These emotional connections were as vital as the political ones. They made cooperation easier, reduced conflict, and strengthened the tribe's resilience. Even so, every relationship was shadowed by the constant awareness that nothing was permanent. Death, betrayal, or shifting alliances could end a union overnight. Survival demanded adaptability, and those who thrived were the ones who could love fiercely yet let go when the winds of power changed. In this way, love in the Stone Age was never just about the heart. It was about strategy, survival, and the quiet understanding that every personal choice sent ripples through the tribe's fate. Long before cities rose and kingdoms formed, sex was already shaping the foundations of human society. It wasn't just an instinctive drive. It was a force that influenced alliances, migration, and even the division of labor. Who paired with whom could decide the future of an entire tribe. In small prehistoric communities, sexual relationships determined the flow of resources and the distribution of influence. A successful hunter who took a partner from another skilled family could unite their abilities, giving their offspring a better chance at survival. Over time, these unions wove a web of connections between groups, forming the first outlines of social networks that would one day resemble the structure of civilizations. This wasn't romance as we imagine it today. The stakes were far higher. Choosing the wrong partner could mean fewer allies, weaker offspring, or even exile from the tribe. Every decision carried consequences that echoed through generations. Even the earliest patterns of sexual selection, where certain traits were favored over others, began to shape the physical and mental evolution of our species. Traits like endurance, cooperative instincts, and problem-solving ability could be as attractive as physical strength. Over thousands of years, these preferences influenced who survived and who didn't, slowly sculpting humanity itself. In the Stone Age, sex wasn't a private act. It was a political, economic, and biological engine. It was the invisible thread stitching together the first human communities and setting the stage for the societies that would follow as tribes grew. Sexual dynamics became more complex and more strategic. Mating wasn't always about personal choice. It was often a matter of negotiation, trade, or even force. Leaders and dominant warriors used their position to secure more mates, reinforcing their power and passing on their genes more widely. This wasn't just physical dominance. It was social engineering. By pairing with members of influential families or forging unions between rival groups, leaders could prevent conflicts, create alliances, or consolidate territory. These early marriages were the primitive equivalent of treaties. Their success measured not in peace documents, but in shared meals, stronger hunting parties, and cooperative defense against predators. For those without status or resources, sex could still be a path to influence. A skilled toolmaker or healer, for example, might become valuable enough to be sought after, gaining protection and prestige through their choice of partner. In these small communities, sexual relationships often determined who had a voice in tribal decisions and who remained on the fringes at the same time. Jealousy, betrayal, and competition for partners could spark deadly rivalries. A dispute over a mate might escalate into bloodshed, shifting the balance of power overnight. In the fragile ecosystem of early human life, sexual politics could either bind a group together or tear it apart. In this way, desire was never separate. From survival, it was a tool, a weapon, and a currency, shaping the destiny of tribes long before written laws or organized governments. Over time, these patterns of sexual power began shaping more than just who mated with whom they influenced the very structure of early societies. The strongest, most resourceful individuals often left behind more offspring, and those offspring inherited not just physical traits, but positions of privilege within the tribe. Slowly, a kind of primitive aristocracy emerged, where lineage became as important as strength or skill. This created a cycle. Power brought sexual access. Sexual access produced heirs, and heirs inherited power. Even without written laws, the rules were clear: who you could sleep with, who you could not, and what it cost to break those unspoken codes. Violations could result in exile, loss of resources, or even death. Meanwhile, sexual norms varied between groups. Some tribes practiced strict mate guarding, where partnerships were fiercely protected. Others leaned toward more open systems, where attraction and opportunity mattered more than exclusivity. These cultural differences could cause misunderstandings, and sometimes wars, when tribes interacted, but beneath the variations, the core truth remained. Sex was never just about reproduction. It was about alliances, influence, and survival. In the Stone Age, as today, intimacy could open doors or close them forever. The seeds planted in this era mate competition, social climbing through partnerships, and the blending of desire with politics would echo across millennia. Long before cities rose and kings ruled, sex was already shaping the destinies of entire peoples.